Hi, Dreadsley. How are you?
Hello, good.
Thank you
How
for
are
joining us.
My pleasure.
What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh boy. Not much actually, currently.
What are we dealing
But
with
hopefully,
time-wise?
change
What are
soon.
we dealing with here? It's 5 p.m. where I'm at.
Almost 11 p.m. here.
Oh, we're both in the
Almost.
PMs. You know, that's been one of the hardest things actually for me in arranging these this thing I do, whatever this thing is, in arranging that has been just aligning times, and
Right.
it's been easy for people in my time zone. Like, it's been easy for
Yeah.
people in sort of like Asia, because we're sort of a little bit closer,
Right.
and it's kind of okay for you guys on the West Coast, because it's like a couple of hours closer. But like, there's just no possible way. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to speak to anyone from the East Coast ever.
Aw.
So sorry to anyone from the East Coast. You don't exist to me.
Aw. Rip East Coasters. Aw.
For those of you who don't know either of us, we're both. What are we? Do you consider yourself a Twitch streamer? Would you call yourself that?
I mean, technically, I guess. I don't know.
How long have you
think,
been doing this thing?
Since March.
Since March.
Since the end of March, yeah.
Oh
Of
Jesus!
this year.
I think we
Yeah.
roughly the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cranberry was also in that group. We all started around the same period.
The class
roughly.
of early March.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And so, okay, in 10 words or less, how has it been?
Oh God, 10 words or
No,
less.
you can say as many words as you want. I'm just kidding.
I feel like I need to write an essay. Hectic for one, because there's just been like problem after problem after problem in real life that's gotten in the way of it. Like I think I had to take a hiatus like a month in because our housemate died. So that was an issue. I don't remember how long I took.
Your
off.
housemate died?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He was.
Wow.
How old was he? 73 or 74, I think.
Wow, was it unexpected?
Yes and no. Like, he had what we assumed was lung cancer, and he was deteriorating pretty quickly, but the way it happened was very sudden.
Wow.
So there was that, and then I had overheating problems with my computer in May or June. So I had to take like a month and a half off for that because I didn't know what was causing it and didn't have money to get it fixed. And then that was resolved for a bit, and then in September I started having various health problems. And then October happened, and it was just the worst fucking thing. Like, 2020 has been terrible anyway, but October was like the icing on the shit cake.
Yeah,
So-
it's been a very, I mean,
Oh man.
for everyone, it's been, for a vast percentage of the, human population, it's been a really rough year. And I think but it's also been a year that in which, like, I was looking at the numbers, like Twitch has grown dramatically, probably due to a lot of the things that are going on. But getting back onto what you were talking about, you've mentioned taking time off in different periods and kind of these unexpected things getting in the way. Do you think that's something, is that a feature of this year in particular, or do you think that it's just like people run into periods of bad luck, or do you think it's something that like someone in this biz or in this hobby or in this activity or this form of social media just will invariably encounter? What do you think that is? Because I've had similar experiences.
Right. I think it's kind of taking a little bit from every column, because if you're streaming, you're going to run into emergencies or things that you have to take time off for. Like if you're a parent, especially, or if you're, somebody who's taking care of somebody else in general, you're going to run into spots where you have to take time off to deal with that.
Right.
Like family emergencies happen, pet emergencies happen, personal emergencies happen.
Oh yeah.
Technical emergencies happen.
Oh, they're the worst of all, actually. For me, they're the ones that really like. Oh. Yeah.
They're frustrating.
Oh my God.
Like when I had to take the month and a half off or whatever, when I was having overheating problems, it was the worst.
Yeah. Was that due to the it being summer, or is that just the computer's fucked, or what's going on there?
It was kind of both. I had not had it cleaned in like 2 years, so there was definitely like a lot of dust and shit built up.
Wait, you're supposed to clean them?
Yeah, occasionally.
What?
You can just like take them outside and bang them around a little bit.
What do I do? What like do I get like a? I'm not trying to be funny. What do I do?
I just took mine to a dude who does cleaning.
There's a dude
downtown. Yeah, I paid like $50 for him to clean my computer and replace the thermal paste in it. Just in case it was that, because I didn't know for sure.
Because I do. I mean, I'm looking over here because my computer's over here. I'm not just randomly looking at my wall. That's because like I do have all this grating on the top, and it does get very dusty in here. And I was wondering, like, that probably goes inside the computer.
Yeah, I have an electric duster now too to keep on top of it because I don't want to have to pay like $50 to get the damn thing cleaned every few months. So I've been slacking on that. I hope my shit
doesn't overheat in summer over here. It probably will.
Yeah, well, it gets hotter there than it does here most of the time, I would wager.
Yes, where I'm going, I'm actually planning a move. So
okay.
That's a warmer place. Where I'm at right now is actually kind of it's a bit of a myth that it's hot in this part of Australia. But that's actually related to what we're saying, you know, like I'm going to have to take for this when it happens, which might be sooner rather than later, at least in the coming couple of months, I'm going to have to take at least a week off for this. And I kind of dread that a little bit in terms of like, I didn't mean to use the name as a pun there. I saw that like that little like, my bad. But I do kind of find it a little concerning, just in terms of like the momentum of a stream.
Right.
How have you found your experiences with that, like coming back?
Every time I take time off, I'm scared because it's like I don't usually have a lot of people. But it's still like every time I take a significant amount of time off, it's like, okay, well, you know, my numbers are going to drop in half or whatever. But in my case, most of the people who show up every time are people who have known me for like 2+ years. So
right.
They're obligated to be there at this point.
Ah, yes, obligations.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern that things are going to drop off. If I'm like on a roll and then I take time off and then come back and it's like, oh shit.
I wonder if that gets, you know, because you and I don't mean this in a bad way, we're both like small fry.
Oh yeah.
Now, at this stage anyway. But I wonder if that ramps up even more for big time creators, like where there's a bunch, like say, I don't know, people who are making big time livelihoods on something they've spent years and years building. Like, can you take a holiday? Like if you're in the Twitch biz, or if you're in like the YouTube content biz, are you able to take a month off, or do they get cooked? I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. I'm not sure. Because
if I think of like, this has happened to me before on YouTube, where there's things that I will watch, channels, various, you know, whatever it is, and I'll get really into it and it'll keep popping up on my thing, and like I'll be like, yeah, and I'll like, it'll become almost part of my schedule. But then I'll just like forget about it. And then maybe 6 months later I go, oh shit, that thing. Like I wonder if that's because they like fell off the wagon a little bit, or I don't know.
I don't know.
It's something that concerns me a little bit about the instability of something like this versus like a 9-to-5 job. Because I like, in my mind, I kind of view it as a, you know, like if looking at the future, I feel like a lot of jobs are going to disappear, or already have maybe. Mine certainly did. And like, I hated the 9-to-5 life. Hated that institutionalized, like, you must turn up at these hours, you must speak to this person about this thing, if you want to escalate an issue, and you must be professional, and you must wear this attire, you know, must not.
Right.
And so I like the freedom the freedom of this kind of stuff's very appealing. It's, the creativity, et cetera, the, self-determined nature. But like, this is one of the things I really worry. It's like, if I take a foot off the brakes for a week, do I go back 5 months? Have you found that you're like that? Like, have you found that to be the case at all?
It depends on what I'm playing, honestly, because certain people show up for certain games, which is typical Twitch shit.
Typical Twitch.
Which is, it's very fickle, and I hate that about it, but it makes sense.
It does.
But in terms of, like, if I take a break while playing X game and then also come back playing X game, usually it's not too noticeable. Like, maybe there'll be, like, a couple of people less. I do notice more than anything else, if I take a significant break and then come back, my follower count drops. And it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping.
Follower count drops?
Yeah. Which is like, maybe that's, maybe that's a coincidence. I don't know. But it's a little bit too... It happens every time. So...
Well, I guess that makes sense. Like, maybe people...
Yeah.
I do that as well because I tend to follow a lot of people. I don't do follow for follow, as some people in my channel would suggest that I might, looking at you, Spudzilla 650. But I don't do that. But I do, sometimes I'll look through recent people who followed or people who are chatting in other people's chats, and I'll be like, oh, look, they got a channel. I'll follow, and then maybe I'll check them out if they're live one time.
Right.
Part of that ever-expanding, explorative kind of aspect of Twitch. But then, like, it's so long that sometimes I'm like, who the fuck's that? I don't remember them at all. So I can kind of understand purging people if you don't see them streaming at all. Have you ever? Do you check analytics much?
Occasionally, yeah.
Have you ever?
It's a dangerous territory to look at.
It's so dangerous. I once did a stream. And it was in the early days. It was like pre-affiliate, I think. And I like checked like I streamed for this many hours, and I checked for the follower count, and I like lost a follower during stream. And I started thinking like, what did I do? What did I say? Who was it? And then I'm like checking everyone. I'm like, did I fucking piss off so and so? Like,
no.
But I think it's inevitable, right? To some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I said, Twitch is fickle. Like, you'll lose followers for nothing. So.
For sure. I realize I've kind of come into this conversation at kind of maybe a weird point. And probably a better place to start rather is to ask, like, what is Twitch to you? What is streaming to you?
Oh boy. So this is the origin story question almost.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Okay. So I got into Twitch initially, oh my god. I want to say about 3 years ago. I started as a mod for various people. And eventually I was modding for like pretty much everybody I knew on Twitch, which was an undertaking.
I bet.
Especially since they all streamed at different times. Some of them streamed at the same time. So I'd have to like lurk multiple people that I was modding.
Wow, that must have been hard.
And it was a fucking task.
Yeah.
It was a challenge. I don't really do that anymore. And then I think it was like 2 years in, I was like, oh, maybe I'll stream one day, because I had streamed on livestream.com, which is dating me a little bit.
That's right. I remember you telling us about this. So okay, refresh my memory. When was Livestream? When was this?
2011 or 2012. It was quite some time ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That was at a time before Twitch like really blew up. It had traction at that point, but it was before it like really exploded.
What was the setup for Livestream? What were like the mechanics of how it worked?
You press the go live button and that was it. You had a chat and that was it. There was no overlays. There were no transitions. There were no alerts. There was nothing. It was very, very bare bones.
But it was were you gaming?
Yeah.
It was like, did you have a webcam game?
I don't think you could use a webcam in a game at the same time.
Damn. Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
Well, yeah, 2011. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it was super basic. But then I did that for a while and then dropped it because I was like, oh, I don't really know if I like doing this. And then, like I said, about a year into, or 2 years into modding for people on Twitch, I was like, maybe I'll attempt to stream again. Like, I'm not really doing anything, and, you know, why the fuck not? I play games all the time anyway. But I didn't at the time. And I waited another year, and then I had so many people badgering me from, in the best way, from various communities that I modded for, being like, when are you going to stream? It's been like 2 years. What the fuck are you doing? And so eventually I got my shit together and started planning, like, seriously. I think it was December or January, this past December and January. And in February, I started doing all of my prep, like gauging what I wanted to do for branding and what I wanted to do for the games I wanted to play. I started securing music permissions, and just like the whole fucking gamut. And then I was trying to think of when I wanted to start, and I was like, well, maybe I can do that on my brother's birthday because he died a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago now.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it on my brother's birthday to kind of honor him or whatever. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to have that associated with that. So I started the day after his birthday, which was the 24th.
Is that sort of... Did you not want it associated out of, like, respect, or you just didn't want to have to, like, have that constantly linked in your mind?
Yeah, it was more just, like, I wanted them to be separate so I could, you know... I don't know, it just made more sense.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, he would have, you know, given me shit about it. He was the reason why I got into gaming in the first place. So.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So, what kind of relationship did you guys have? It sounds like it was perhaps a good one if you had at least a gaming bond.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was good. Like, he used to play... he used to play video games on his really shitty TV in the other room. And I used to go in there and watch him. I wouldn't say anything. I'd just sit there and watch like a fucking gremlin. And I think he was playing... What the hell is that game called? Jade Empire? Something like that?
I've definitely seen the title. I've not played it.
I think that's what it's called.
I think that's the name of a game. I'm pretty sure. It sounds like the name of a game.
I just remember being enraptured by it. I was like, what the hell is this? This looks magical.
What kind of game was it, actually? It sounds like a strategy
I don't
game.
even remember. I think it was an RPG. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
I don't know. He used to play like Final Fantasy IX, which I love. It's my favorite Final Fantasy game.
It's a good one.
I still have his original PlayStation as well.
Oh,
it's
sick!
A box under my TV.
Is this what is it, like the original, like the square chunky one, or is that the more rounded one? No, it's the little
rounded one.
I actually like that rounded one. Like
it looks a lot better.
It looks better. It's. I mean, it's not really portable, but it's portable in that it's not big.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not chunky.
I have a bit of a. I don't want to get too far off topic, but I do have a bit of a console fetish. Like certain, I'm not doing fucking weird shit with them. I just like the feeling of looking at them. That's all. I like to look at consoles. But you know, some like the PAL region Super NES, that PS1, the one you have, love that. GameCube, oh my god. Beautiful. Anyway, I digress.
Oh man. Speaking of which, my sister, when I was growing up, had a watermelon pink N64. I was in love with that.
Oh,
thing. It was
damn.
So cool.
Sick.
Like translucent watermelon pink. It was so good.
64, Nintendo had I think they were the first to kind of jump on that. Well, I guess that actually predated Apple doing it. When Apple did it with like the... First, they did it with the Emacs. I'm probably starting to sound a little boomery here, but when they had the Emacs, they dropped their computer and it had like 5 different colorways, And then they did it with the iPod, and then it came in, and then that sort of became like a big marketing strat, like having like 5 or 6 different colorways for one product. And I feel like 64 was maybe before all of that, because you'd have like the 4 controls that were all different colors, and you get like the clear one, and oh man, loved it.
Good times. Yeah, I remember those iMacs too. My elementary school had them, and most of them were clear, but there was like one blue one, and everybody wanted to work at that computer, even though it literally functioned like the rest of them. It was just the fact that it was blue; it was special.
Yeah, I got given one as a gift years after the fact from a friend of mine, a good nerd friend of mine. It was a great birthday gift. He had it loaded up with a bunch of not that I would ever emulate games. But it had a bunch of ROMs on it. Not that I would ever play them. They were just there.
Uh-huh.
So you guys had a good relationship, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of... we were both awkward as fuck. I say were meaning him. I'm still awkward as fuck. And... We both had like a lot of anxiety and depression shit. So, and there was a significant age gap. I think he was like 13 years older than me.
Wow, that's a big gap.
Yeah, 12 or 13 anyway. I can't remember exactly. And my sister is 2 years older than he was. So, even bigger age gap.
So you're the baby?
So like, yeah.
I didn't say a baby. I said
me.
the baby, by the way. I'm not
I mean,
to, yeah.
Same thing. So like we were... I don't want to say estranged because that's really not the correct term, but we were not super close. Like, we never had a fucking bad moment ever. Yeah. I never fought with him or anything like that. So, it was kind of like we were there for each other if we were needed kind of thing, but we didn't talk all the time. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I have one younger brother, and the age gap between us is 6 and a bit years. And even that felt pretty significant.
Right.
But on certain points we could relate. Most notably gaming. Funny that.
Yeah.
But like that felt like a nearly insurmountable gap at that age. Like now we're both adults, so it's fine. We just meet each other as adults. But like... I'm just trying to imagine if I was 13 years older or if I was 13 years younger. That's almost like a halfway to a parent or like halfway to an uncle or an auntie or something like that.
Yeah, I always felt kind of like the annoying kid sister because he'd be trying to do shit and I'd just be in there bothering him. And I had a lot of anxiety as a kid. I had like paranoia issues, so I couldn't be left alone. So I would have to go bother him all the time. And I remember we had this stupid plastic hamper, and for some reason I was like balancing on it. Like my back end was balancing on it, and I fell in it. And I could not get out of it, and I was like screaming. And he was playing his guitar in the other fucking room, so he couldn't hear me.
Oh no.
It was so stupid. But I credit him with like getting me into games and a lot of my music taste. Like we actually, I don't know if I can really show this off if I can get my fucking sleeve up, but this guy here is a modified version of the Dead Kennedys logo because my brother got me into punk music, so it made sense.
Thank you for saving me there because I wasn't going to guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's his initials because he used to apparently draw something like this in high school or whatever. Like his best friend came over after he died and was like, we need to get tattoos, but I don't know what. And then he randomly drew the symbol and I was like, that's it. I'll refine that and take it to an artist. That's done. So
I gotta say, that's probably, I've got a lot of friends with tats and I think they look cool for the most part. But I personally have always sort of shied away from them for the fact of I don't think many things are important enough to me.
Right.
But I think that would be one of the reasons that I would. If it was in memory of someone that was really important in my life, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's the only one I have currently. And a lot of my... I have the same mindset. Like, if it's not important, it's not going on my body for the rest of my life, so...
Yeah. Well, I just worry, what am I going to think in 5 years? You know?
Right.
Am I still going to be into Bart Simpson in 5 years. Not that that was ever, not that that was ever in consideration, but first thing that came to my mind. And then
I regretted mine initially.
You did?
It was like, yeah, I think it was the first week I had it. I was like, oh my God, why did I do this? Because it was kind of, some of the lines were kind of janky, and I was like, oh my fucking God, like, why did I do this? But that went away, and now I don't have anything even close to that. Because it's like,
sorry.
Part of it, too, is like it's a punk band logo. It's not supposed to be perfect.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like for something like that, the jankiness is probably part of it.
It adds to it, yeah.
Yeah. My mother has one tat, and it is the jankiest tat of all time. This is just a classic my mum thing to do. Like, she just decided one night when she was on the piss, just decided like, oh, I'm just going to tattoo myself. Like, and like she... she I don't know, I guess she got a needle and some ink and just like tried to draw a rose on her ankle, like just like stabbing her fucking ankle with a needle and ink, and it is abysmal. It's like, if you call that janky, that's not janky. Like, that's perfect. Yeah, no, maybe that's what put me off him saying that. It just looks like a bruise, to be honest.
Awful.
Sorry, Mum. She might listen to this as well.
Aw.
So you've been in this thing for a while then, huh?
Yeah, through various stages. Like I said, it started on livestream.com, got dropped, and then I switched over to modding, which I really enjoyed. Because I have a very take no shit attitude, so being the bad guy in someone else's chat is totally fine.
Yeah.
And especially because a lot of people don't want to do it themselves. Like, they don't want to be... People have this complex that standing up for yourself is rude or it's mean, and it really isn't.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, actually. It's not something that I ever want to do, and... I mean, not stand up. I do like the idea of standing up for myself, but when that crosses over to being the bad guy or being the enforcer,
right.
What qualities do you think make for a good mod?
Being able to separate friendship is super important. And being able to kind of separate your own ideas of what you would do in your own channel. Like, I think it's crucial for anybody who's having people be mods to sit down and talk with them and be like, these are my guidelines, please follow them, kind of shit.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, you're a mod now, do what you want. I've dealt with that a lot too.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking nightmare. Like, because then they'll all go in different directions, and it's like, well, what are we actually doing? Like, what does Strimmer want? Because they didn't tell anybody, so...
What does Strimmer want? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think the Strimmer even knows sometimes.
That's a fact. That's a big fact. Because it's like, some people think that, self-promotion is worth being timed out over. Some people think swearing is worth being timed out over. So it just depends. And you need to communicate that with your mods, because it's not really fair to leave them floundering. And
that's true, and that's actually something that I'm not very good at, and I apologize to Spudsy. Because for me, it's like when I have that trust in somebody, which I do with my mod, I just trust. I have an idea of who they are. I know that they have an idea of who I am, and not much is said. But there has been times where it's like, shit, like I've spoken with him and he's like, yeah, I thought maybe, but you could have if you let me know.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that communication with mods is important. I got to get better at that. About the channel is what I mean to say.
Right. I mean, I have a secret hidden channel in my Discord that's strictly for mods to keep on top of stuff. Like,
right.
Various warnings about people, or like, this has been updated, or whatever. And I've had to talk to a couple of my mods about not following what they should be following before.
For certain
and if they're a good
interactions,
mod, they won't give you shit. Yeah, just like not banning people when they should be banned, or you know, getting into, I've had mods get into spats with people too, and it's like, you should not be doing that. That's my job. Don't do that shit.
How many mods do you have on your channel?
Oh my god. Too many probably. Somewhere between 6 and 8. It's way too many, but I had a lot of people volunteer back when I started, so somewhere in that realm.
Well, that's nice
Half
that people
of
are
them don't show up,
volunteering though. That is nice because then it's like people, want to support you and help you out.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Absolutely.
Do you? So I think I was very wary of mods at the start because I heard talk of the mod wall. No one wants to see the mod wall and get intimidated.
Right.
Is that a thing, or is that just kind of a myth?
I mean, I don't really put too much stock in it. I guess it can be for some people, but I don't know. I've never had an issue with it really.
I personally haven't either, because I don't really view, even though like you see the green sword, it's not, I don't view it as an intimidating, like I've never really felt of mods as an intimidating presence.
Right.
Like,
and I mean, they really shouldn't be.
No.
Like they have technically more power than the average viewer does, but it's still not something that should be yarded over people. Like,
right.
So
Suddenly become the town bullies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I don't see myself ever being a mod. I think mods are incredibly valuable, of course. And I've had a couple of people over the past 6 months, one or two, like ask if I would want to be a mod for them, and I've had to respectfully just be like, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm able to do it. I think there are a set of qualities there that are necessary, and knowing where to draw the line is one of them. I think. Do you think that's necessary for a streamer as well, though?
I mean, I would say it's less of an issue for a streamer because it's not like you're doing something in someone else's stead.
Yeah.
Like you would be if you're a mod. Like it's not kind of like guess and see what happens. And like I said, it's subjective anyway. Like what I would ban people for is not necessarily what other people would ban people for, or anything like that. So like for me, personally, it takes a lot to earn a banning. Like you have to be a troll, basically, like, and bad at it. Like be racist, be homophobic, be something that's against TOS, and you'll get banned. Right.
Yeah.
But
I think...
I'm not gonna ban you for just being annoying.
Yeah, and like the natural desire for me is to have more people around and have more people involved, and that the more people, the more great people, the more interesting people, but also the more problematic, sort of interactions you're going to have. And, sometimes I feel like I don't have a right to ban anyone who isn't directly trying to get me banned, because it's like, who the hell am I to try and play God on this ecosystem? Like it almost feels like, doctoring, like creating. It's like the criticism of beautiful parks. Be like, people are like, yeah, it's a beautiful park, but that's not nature. Like it's all ordered, and you've got these plants, and here's the, you've got the roses over here, and the nice mowed lawn, and everyone's like, oh, it's nice to be in nature. Not really nature. It's sort of like a manipulation of nature. And sometimes that's how I feel as a streamer. I don't know how, where to draw the line. Does that matter?
I mean, I suppose there's beauty in the manipulation, though.
Oh,
to a degree.
Yeah. It always is.
I mean, because you're kind of curating people you want to be around, which is super important.
Yep.
That's important in any context of your life. Just like surrounding yourself with people you want to be around, and
that's
people
true.
who push you to be better and whatnot. So it's like, why would you willingly surround yourself with people you don't want to deal with? That's fair.
Fair. And I'm glad you put that into other circumstances in life. Something that's happened to me sometimes, though, and this is an inclination I have, is I often get the wrong first impression of people, and this is not just a Twitch thing. This is just in general. There are people in my life who I'm still very good friends with. Some of the people I'm closest with. who I can recall my first impressions of them, my first encounter with them being like, kind of a dick, or like I don't know what that was all about, or like
Right.
and so I wonder where my life would be if I hadn't been more tolerant. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I wonder if like sometimes the people who've come in and just like I've just immediately banned for something. Maybe they were just having the worst day of their life, and it could have been a beautiful friendship, but never know.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, they still chose to act how they acted, so that's not really a you problem. So.
Yeah. What do you stream on Twitch? What do you do? What kind of stuff do you do on Twitch?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I mean, I would say a bunch of stuff, but that's not exactly true. So the last things I streamed were Lego Star Wars, which I still haven't finished.
There's something soothing about that game. I've watched a bit of that on your stream.
Good. I used to play the fuck out of that when I was like 12 when it first came out. On my my PS2 Slim, which shit the bed within the first year of having it, which was great.
Little tackily made though. Speaking of that console
the
fetish.
lasers were awful. They were so bad. I have a chunky PS2 now, and it works like a dream. But the Slims were absolutely terrible. And then I finished the first costume quest on stream, which is the first game I have finished on stream, which is, considering I started back in March, that's awful.
Congratulations.
It took me like 9 months to do it, but it's fine. Or not quite 9, but enough time.
So, hold on. Costume quest. Do tell. I have no idea.
Oh man. So, the rough premise, without getting too spoilery, although I don't know how old that game is now, but I'm sure most people have either heard of it or played it at this point. The premise is that these weird like goblin creatures are like stealing candy from the people from the kids in the town, and they steal your brother or your sister depending on who you choose to be, and you have to get them back. And you run into all sorts of fucking weird shit. It has a bomb-ass combat system. It's really cool.
Oh, nice.
So it's like a Halloween-y adventure RPG, kind of. It's the best.
Turn-based?
Yeah, kind of. And you can get like pieces for different costumes, which you can then use in the battle sequences, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I did stream part of the second one as well, which is a little bit different. It's more polished, and the combat system is completely different. But I haven't finished that yet. As for other stuff I stream a lot of Sims 3. It's kind of a trap.
Yes.
I hate that game has generated so much growth for my channel. I don't always want to play it.
Well, do you enjoy playing it?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
But not all the time.
Okay,
so,
okay.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of... that's just how Twitch is. Like, there will always be games that generate more growth than others, and you're like, I don't really want to play that for the rest of my life, though. Like...
Or become the Sims person.
Exactly.
Or sorry, the Sims 3 person.
Exactly, yeah.
What kind of... what is it you think about the Sims that makes for a good streaming experience for everyone?
I mean, being interactive is huge.
Yeah.
Like, I have a channel point redeemable to like name kids
or
very
whatever.
Fun. Yeah. And just like seeing what people in chat kind of are interested in the household, because people get really emotionally invested in this shit, and it's great. Like, there will be people who never miss a Sims stream because they're so interested in what's happening in the house, and plus it's so I don't I don't really want to use the term wacky because I feel like that's just ridiculous, but it's true. Like, Sims games are so wacky and bizarre and random, and so that alone makes for a good stream. Plus, there's with that one in particular, there's a huge nostalgic draw for people.
Mm.
Because when 4 came out, a lot of people leapt on that, and I'm not going to get into that because 4 sucks. But
Oh, really? Is 4 like the death of The Sims?
I hate it.
Okay.
It's terrible. But so yeah, it's just like a conglomeration of a bunch of stuff kind of melding together, and
yeah, I can see it being very fun to stream. It's also never ending. Right?
yeah, it's great and also awful at the same time.
Does it end when they die? Do they die of old? Can they die of old age?
Yeah. If you're doing a challenge, of which there are many, 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 you can keep playing beyond that, or you can just leave it at, well, they died and that's the end of it.
That's the end of their lives. Yeah.
I mean, there are so many ways to play that game too, or those games. Like, I have a friend in one of my mods, actually, who uses it strictly for experiments to see how far he can push the game engine. And
okay.
other people do, like, story-based stuff, and it's endless, really.
I remember as a teenager playing, I think it was The Sims 2. Or maybe it was just The Sims. And, yeah, I'm showing my age. But playing that, and I would just make, I was a dweeby little teenager, and I would just make all of my friends, male and female, and just like see who would hook up, like, like have them all in this like amazing dream house. We're all millionaires and none of us have to work ever again, and yeah, that shit's fun. It's like simulating social experiments almost.
Yeah, it's just like goofy, lighthearted fun. Like it's great. So.
But it never ends.
Yeah, it's bittersweet because it's like, yay, I got attached to somebody, and now it's never ending. But at the same time, I want to play something else. So.
Do you think
it's kind of an issue?
Sorry for butting in there. Do you think it's inevitable? As a streamer or as a content creator. Hello, kitty. Who's
like,
this?
Hello, I need to make myself known. This is Sam.
Hi, Sam's
like,
back.
Not in the shot.
I see just a tiny bit of.
There we go. Oh God.
Hello, Sam.
There's Sam.
Meow.
Hanging out and getting into trouble.
So you are the proud owner of a cat. Is it just Sam, or is there more?
There's another one, but she's like never in here when I'm streaming. She's pretty skittish.
Ah, okay.
Sam's a giant asshole, so he'll make it a point to be in here even if he's not supposed to be.
That's usually the prerogative of cats. It's like, oh, something important mustn't be disturbed. Well, I guess I will knock over a cup.
Lights, I better eat those right now. Like, he's a hellion. He's terrible.
Oh, damn.
But the stream loves him, so.
Yes. Well, that's another thing. Animals, pets, are a big fucking draw card for streamers. Yeah. And I would never do it. I would never, I'm not suggesting that anyone has done that. I'm sure they had the pets pre-existing before the stream. But like, I could see having, if I had some furry animal had a redemption, I could see that like being a draw card for people to come. Like, I wonder if
funny you say that because I have a treat jar here.
Ah, yes.
And people use it all the time.
That's so interesting.
So,
it's
I had to put a cap on it though, but yeah, even if he's not in here, people redeem it, and I'll be like, okay, I'll give it to him later because he's not in the room.
Yeah.
So.
That's lovely though. That kind of is the human element of streaming though, right? That you get an insight into the life or the home life of somebody, and that includes whoever's a part of it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
What the fuck was I talking about before? I feel like I feel like I was like onto something.
We were talking about Sims games, and then Sam just randomly showed up and ruined everything.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember. So do you think it is inevitable that streamers or content creators will become associated with one thing? for example, one game or one style of music or one genre of what they do? Like, do you think, and I guess you mentioning The Sims and worrying about, doing too much of that sort of raised that in my mind.
Right. I mean, temporarily, yeah. I think that certain people make certain associations if all they see you playing is X game, or whatever. But if you change it up, I don't think it'll be like a long-term thing. It won't be like, oh, you streamed Bloodborne for like 3 months, 3 years ago, and now you're streaming something completely different, and I still know you as the Bloodborne person. Like, that's... Yeah. I mean, some people are probably like that, but...
Yeah, well, people are in it for so many different reasons, right? Like,
exactly.
I have people in my community, or in the wider community, I shouldn't say it's mine, who really just prefer the just chatting portions. And, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm here for just chatting.
Right.
But then maybe the game interests them, maybe the game doesn't interest them, and then they'll come back a little later. And like, I really like that because that's a consistent thing, because that's something I'm always going to do.
Right.
But then, like, I started playing GeoGuessr a month ago now, maybe. And I got this kind of surge of new people, like, yeah, like helping out, and it was kind of an exciting thing. But then I started to feel like I started doing it more and more because I was having a fun time with it, and I was really enjoying playing at the end of whatever it was I was doing. I was drawing more people to the channel. But then I started like thinking like, oh my God, like what if I just become a GeoGuessr guy? Like what if I get like trapped in, like, I'm feeling the GeoGuessr box forming around me.
Right.
And I wonder like what percentage of content creators wind up being in a thing that they didn't necessarily want to be in, or think or plan to be in.
I mean, I would wager probably a lot of them, because a lot of people kind of realize that certain things are generating more interaction or engagement than others, and they kind of leap on it, and then they're like, Fortnite is bringing me a lot of people, maybe I should keep streaming that all the time. And then you get stuck as being a Fortnite person.
Yeah, yeah. Or being like I feel like if you're a Fortnite streamer, maybe you can also do PUBG, and that's not much of a change. Or maybe you can do Apex Legends or any games within the same genre.
Right.
But then it's like if you wanted to do I don't know, Super Mario All-Stars, people might just be like, what the fuck,
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a big jump.
Yeah. Do you ever experience feelings of guilt on Twitch?
Not too much. I do feel guilty sometimes if I take significant amounts of time off. Because that's kind of kicking myself in the teeth a little bit. Plus, it's also... I've had numerous people come to me and be like, oh, I'm really glad that you were streaming today because my depression has been really shitty.
Yeah.
So there's almost like a sense of personal obligation to keep doing it even if I really am not feeling up to it for other people. And I'm not a people pleaser, I never have been, but that kind of shit strikes differently. Like, that means something rather than just like, yeah, but I liked your streams. Like I still appreciate it, but it's different.
Well, when you have that personal relationship with people, or a more intimate relationship as kind of can develop with chat over time, and just people that you meet online or otherwise, you start to realize what it is that's going on in their life, right? And so I guess that kind of feeling of, do you ever have that feeling of owing people stuff? Do you get caught up in that?
I don't know. Not too much beyond just the kind of mental health angle. I've never really been somebody who thinks I owe anybody anything, which is not exactly the best attitude to have in certain contexts, but
I think in some it's great though. I think thinking you owe people
absolutely.
stuff can be a problem in itself.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. But in terms of streaming outside of the mental health thing, I don't think so. Not really.
Do you ever feel guilty for any interactions you've had? Like, do you ever feel bad about things you say on stream?
Oh boy. I mean, I'm probably more open about my personal life than I should be at times on stream. That's a fault. At least when it comes to streaming. In terms of real life, that's not an issue. Although it can be, I suppose. Being too honest and too open about things. I'm pretty blunt, and that tends to also kind of rub people the wrong way sometimes. Or they'll take things in a way that I didn't mean it because it sounds mean, but it's not mean.
Yeah.
And being sarcastic on top of that doesn't help either. It's just a bunch of ingredients for something that's not very tasty to some people.
Well, I figure for some people it would be, though. Like, that's probably refreshing for some people. You know, when you've got a bunch of bootlickers like myself from way back, you know, I think it's sometimes nice to interact with someone who doesn't feel fake. Or I don't like fake's a bad way to put it. Someone who doesn't feel like they're overly concerned about your perception of their personality. They're just kind of being themselves.
Right.
Is that something that you've developed over time? Is that kind of how you've always been?
I've kind of always been like that. I've just there was a time when I was younger where I really cared about trying to fit in and trying to gain the acceptance of my peers, but that was grade school. And it's been a long time since then. I'm almost 30 now, and I have spent most of my life not giving a shit because there's no point. It's a waste of time.
That's interesting. Trying to gain the acceptance of your peers. Yeah, I think a lot of us do that, you know, and maybe that's, I'm assuming it didn't happen given that you don't look for it anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No. God, no.
Yeah.
Being like the token weird kid in a school full of kind of like preppy, well-to-do kids was just didn't happen.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, I imagine high school's where that starts to happen for people, where you start having people like intentionally being like, you know what? Nah, I'm out. Like I'll do my own thing.
Yeah.
What is it that do you think that makes people want to fit in? Because I feel like I see that still in counterculture as well. You know, you get people that you have like the popular culture of, be it in a school where there's the cool kids and you either conform to the cool kids or like you have something that they value and, you know, or you kind of get left out. But then I feel like in high school, then the countercultures sometimes develop their own little cliques, and then that goes on through into adulthood, and people still want to belong and fit in.
Right.
Do you think that is like what is that? Is that natural? Is that culturally created?
I think it's kind of learned. Like if you want to go real deep psych on this.
Yeah, let's do it. Bunch of experts over here.
I mean, yeah. Let me get my little monocle out and pull up my leather couch.
Oh yes, postulate away.
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with probably some degree of parental neglect or some kind of parental not getting acceptance or acknowledgement from your parents or other people of major importance in your life in your formative years.
Right.
And I mean, that doesn't make complete sense now that I'm saying it, because I went through that and I'm the opposite. So it's kind of a person-to-person thing, I suppose. Some people take parental neglect and are like, well, fuck you, I don't need you anyway. And some people are like, oh my God, why don't you love me? Why doesn't anybody, you know, give me attention? What the fuck?
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. And I would wager there's also an identity component to it. Like, people are obsessed with identity and labels, and
they certainly are.
I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Well, that could be one that we could get into, because this kind of bleeds
Yeah.
in quite nicely to the idea of social media, the idea of mental health, the idea of identity, and a million other little ideas all melted together in one delicious pot.
Yeah, I remember that was the main thing that we had discussed like a month ago. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so excited to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, let's refresh my memory, because I do remember that conversation. What was the gist of what we were talking about?
I think, well, I put the kibosh on it shortly after. I remember we were in a verbal conversation with Cranberry, and it came up, and I was like, I don't really want to say too much about it at the moment, because we're supposed
That's
to be doing this thing.
right.
And you were like, okay, it's fine. We'll wait.
Yes. Yeah.
But in essence, it was just kind of like, is mental health, is social media helpful for mental health? Is it detrimental to mental health? What are the pros and cons kind of business?
Yeah, it's a big topic.
Yeah, it's huge.
Well, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh Lord.
I'll allow you
Oh,
to
man.
begin, and I will pound this
boy.
beer and develop my theories.
So, I mean, for starters, it can be both. Which I think I touched on when we initially discussed it, because it can be great for getting to meet people, getting to explore certain aspects of yourself. Like if you're into photography and you make like an Instagram account or something. Or, I mean, there's like super basic shit too, like keeping in touch with family over Facebook and you know. So it can be good in a sense, and it can also be kind of refreshing to see somebody in your life doing well and they're posting on social media that they're doing well. But on the flip side, it can be detrimental, because then you're comparing your life to other people's and like, why am I not that happy? What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah. Then I think you start getting people posting illusions or living these fake lives online, where
Absolutely.
only the most uber positive things, the best, the highlights of their lives are posted, so that they can get the esteem of their peers, or the envy of their peers, maybe even. And then it goes even further, because it's like, well, maybe the best things in my life aren't good enough, so maybe I have to plan my life so as to make it seem like it is the best thing. Maybe I have to like study on how to make this image seem more beautiful. Maybe I'm not good looking enough. Maybe I need plastic surgery. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe I need to also be saving a koala while in this beautiful place. And getting my 3rd degree. Like I feel like the pressure we've somehow put on ourselves has a potential to spiral out of control, all for something almost intangible.
Well, yeah, I mean, social media, at least if we're talking about, you know, people posting positive things, it's like a reel of like all of the best parts of something, but it's not realistic. It's fake. And like the moments themselves aren't fake, but presenting things as there is never anything bad in my life, there's never anything neutral in my life, is a complete wash. That's a load of shit. Nobody's life is like that. Ever. So...
Agreed.
But it's hard to keep that in mind when it's just positive shit or neutral shit or whatever. Like...
It's impossible, right? Like, because that's kind of all you see, and it's also, there is a measurement to it as well. You can measure how many likes it got. You can measure how many times it was reposted. You can measure the comments, and there's something about that measurement on its value in your social circle that is crazy. Like, what is that? You know,
it's like basing your self-worth on heart icons.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck even is that?
Yeah.
How?
Like,
It's bizarre.
I'm trying to imagine before it. So I just feel like it fundamentally changes so much. So like, I'm just trying to think. So I'm trying to imagine me in 2005, much younger, 43 at that stage. And just gone through my 7th divorce and the graduation of my 5th child. No, but I'm trying to imagine, like, I've come back from a holiday, because holidays are always a kind of an easy fodder for social media, right? Come back from a holiday and I want to tell people about it. Do you think the reason is different? Like, I'm sort of thinking as I go here, like, I feel like me wanting to tell people about it is in the 2005 version is probably a couple of my friends at a table or whatever at some meetup. And I really want to share the things that I thought were interesting. And I might share a photo or two, maybe.
Right.
Do you think the motivation behind it is different, or do you think it is the same motivation, just like taken to the extreme?
I think it's kind of both. Because when you're talking to somebody in person about, like, hey, I went on this trip and here's a couple of pictures, it's more rooted in just like sharing an experience, as opposed to I'm trying to gain something in terms of like mental fulfillment from this by you telling me how good of a job I did. Or like how exciting that is for you to ingest. Whereas posting things on social media, and I don't think it's a conscious thing for most people, but for some people it is. Posting that you went on like a super great vacation and here's all these pictures is just kind of like, there's part of you that's doing that for approval or for validation that you did have a good time and that it was, Right,
because then there's a feeling that it wasn't special if it's not noted by others. I'm thinking now as I say this that maybe it is the same thing, because what is sharing at its base? Like even prior to the internet and shit like that. Like if I share something with you, other than like dinner or profit from some fucking investment or something, if I share like information or a story, what is it? What is the reward for that? Is it that I want to feel like I'm impressing people? Like, what is that?
I don't know. I mean, that could definitely be part of it and is part of it. But I think as humans, or at least most of us, maybe some people aren't really concerned about it. And I should just say, within my own family, we all kind of have this innate desire to share everything with people, like experiences, or we're Italian, so food. But just like everything, it's just kind of a desire to include people and kind of, I don't know. It sounds kind of stupid to fall back on sharing is caring, but it's kind of true.
Well, I guess it's being seen as well, and knowing that you're seen by the people that you want to see you, and being understood as well, I guess. I feel like I might be coming off as like I'm slagging off on sharing as a concept. I don't think that way. It does feel crazy how it's been commodified.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so do you think that is, because I feel like talking about sharing it, we're sort of talking about, I get feeling like these kind of feelings about Instagram and Facebook and those more instantaneous image-based, short text-based or short video-based stuff. Do you think of Twitch and YouTube in the same way as platforms?
YouTube, yeah. Twitch, not so much. I mean, I guess to a degree. But for me, Twitch is kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're trying to impress people to a degree. But it's not the same as being like, look at how great my life is. Because you're not focusing on you. You're focusing on a game.
Yeah, look at how great I am at this game, everyone.
Yeah. Or look at how shitty I am at this game.
Yeah,
this is entertaining,
right? God. Tell me about it. I feel like it's different as well. I feel like it is different. Yeah. There's I think the thing is it's harder to curate 5 hours or even 2 hours. It's harder to curate 2 hours of you interacting in real time with people. Can't like manufacture it in the same sense. Like, I guess you kind of can. Like, we've got these, like, well, I'll speak on my end because I don't want to talk about your stuff. A slightly manufactured environment here. Yes, it is a place that I also rest my weary eyes at night. But, you know, there's lighting. It doesn't, maybe not the whole house looks this way, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But I think overall it's less manufactured.
Right.
But you said that YouTube you kind of view as being, you consider it in the same way as like a Facebook or an Instagram. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, the difference too in, you know, YouTube versus Twitch.
YouTube via Twitch.
YouTube via Twitch.
That's kind of my trajectory, actually.
You and like thousands of other people at this point. But Twitch is live for the most part. YouTube isn't. So you can edit things down and piece them in a way that you want to piece them.
Not that I would ever edit this video, ever. Nothing will be edited out, ever, ever. Sorry, continue. We'll edit that out.
So it's kind of the same as like picking the best pieces and presenting them all in a way that looks good.
Yeah.
And on Twitch you really can't do that. I mean, you could, I guess. Like,
harder though, much harder. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, I guess in a way you might be modifying your ability to deal with external stimuli in real time, and you might be able to like one example I can think of is being like tilted or pissed off at something that someone says and getting like emotionally. Do you ever get that like where you feel sort of put like some interaction will put you into a different frame of mind, and you have to like try and like glide yourself back to like the streamer frame of mind. I guess in a way that's a kind of affectation or control over reality, whereas if it was real life, it'd be like, shut the fuck up and get out of here, you know. But you have to kind of, or you'd walk away, or you just like would allow yourself to not you know, continue being positive. Do you think there is like, how much more real is Twitch, I guess, in your opinion?
I mean, it's still not real life. It never will be. A lot of people have a complex about oversharing, even if it's not really oversharing, and being like too personal.
Yeah.
Which I can understand. Like, I don't have my name on Twitch for a reason. I don't need that kind of a like stalker situation kind of bullshit. But but so it's kind of like it's again, people present you with the version of themselves that they want you to see in most cases.
Yeah.
Unless you're just like completely, you don't put a filter on anything, and you know, plus like the whole point of Twitch is to get people to watch you.
Yes.
So if you have some undesirable personality traits, you're probably gonna hide those.
You must suppress them all.
Yeah.
Suppress.
So, I mean, yeah, it's still not real 100% of the time. So,
but I guess that's okay though, right? Like
yeah.
It's like a film isn't real, or even a documentary isn't real. In some ways, I think a documentary is less real than a fictional film, because it claims to be real while it's, you know, still just a collection of edited film and sound.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a, you know, I often see on Twitch the mental health tag, or like you'll see other things like mindfulness, or do you think that there is an aspect of the streaming platforms such as Twitch that is beneficial to people's mental health?
Absolutely. I mean, even just if it's escapism, it's a huge help for some people. And in terms of being somebody with mental health and streaming, or mental health issues in streaming, everybody has mental health. God damn it, that was anyway. But being somebody who has mental health issues, streaming has been huge for like depression management for me. I have social anxiety too, and it doesn't really help with it, but it also doesn't make it worse because it's exposure. So exposure to people anyway. And it gives you something to do, so it keeps you busy, and streaming is like a non-stop job. Even if you're not streaming, you're still doing stuff to do with streaming, like networking or
Always there.
Yeah.
There's something.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with you on that. This past, I want to come back to some of what you spoke about, but just quickly before I forget, this past 7 months, you know, I was speaking with my mum when she came to visit for the first time in like 7-8 months the other day, and I remember telling her this has been the hardest 7 months of my life. I realized when I was saying it that it was true, and I haven't had the easiest life, I haven't had the hardest life, but this has been the hardest part of my life, and that's crazy given some of the things I've had in my life, much like any fucking boomer or young person's life.
Right.
And interesting that I made a distinction between boomer and young person there. Anyway, I don't know what's going on in my head. But like I look at, and I mean really from a mental health perspective, you know, like I described some of what has been going on for me due to external factors that you may or may not have heard of. And my mother, who has suffered quite a lot of agora or agoraphobia? Agoraphobia. Has said, wow, it just sounds like you've just had enforced agoraphobia. And then we went to the pub for dinner because they've recently opened up around here, and everyone's super weird in Melbourne right now. Like everyone's so fucking weird because they've been in lockdown forever, like one of the longest in the world. And she's like, wow, it's like everyone's like me now. And for her, she was kind of like, oh, this is interesting because it's not like, you know, it wasn't imposed upon her. And then I come back to streaming, I think, wow, if not for something like this has been such an outlet for me in terms of something to do, in terms of goals, in terms of being able to interact with people like you. And so, yeah, I definitely agree that there is something very positive in having direction for one's mental health in certain, you know, depending on what's going on in their lives otherwise. But then again, I do recognize there's shit that can be very challenging about it for one's sanity also.
Yeah, absolutely.
You also mentioned social anxiety there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is interesting to me because there is something inherently social about Twitch. So
I make that joke all the time. Like, somebody with social anxiety better fucking stream, right?
Right?
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So what's going on here? And I'm not pointing at you specifically, just in general, because
right.
I've heard this narrative before.
I honestly don't know. I don't know how it is for other people, but for me, my social anxiety is mostly groups, and it's in person. It's very different with people online. I don't know why that is, because it's like, you know, if there are still like 20, 30 people in a goddamn room, even if it's digitally, they're still there.
Yeah.
But I mean, with Twitch, I guess it's like they're not all interacting at the same time usually. So there's a bit of a time for like a mental breather, and I'm not trying to... You also can't see them, which is a big part of it too. Like you're not trying to constantly keep up with like 30 different sets of eyes all the time, or try to hold 30 different conversations, or I don't know why 30 is the number right now.
That's the number right now, guys. Imagine that.
It's the number. So that's a big part of it. And I don't know. Honestly, it makes no sense logically.
You know, it's fascinating because some of the things you described just then, namely, I don't have to see them. I'm not in the same room as them. They were precisely some of the things that made me more anxious when I started streaming, because I've always had this weird thing, and I've definitely gotten over it now. Well, I better have after 7 months. I used to hate video calling people. I just didn't.
Right.
I didn't feel natural doing it. I mean, thankfully, I've had hundreds of hours of it in 2020, so I'm totally cool with it. But there was something about that interaction that I felt I was held back. I wasn't able to interpret everything as well. I'm not seeing people's body language as much and things like that. But that was more of a source of. It sounds like it was more of a source of comfort for you.
I mean, yeah, to a degree. I've had loads of just on that tangent. Loads of video calls throughout the years. Like I was a big Skype user back when that was actually usable and not a piece of shit.
Wait, Skype's not usable anymore?
Oh god, Skype is awful now. Like in my teens, I had used Skype a fuckload. I would meet like random people on Omegle and then like talk to them in video chats, or like meet them elsewhere and talk on Skype. And then I got super into Discord, and that hasn't stopped. So, but I mean, it's usually not that bad. Like the first time or two is kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of weird. Like seeing someone's face moving in real time. As opposed to like a little icon that just sits there while the rest of the window lights up. So, but I could not tell you why it's so vastly different of an experience than like sitting with somebody in a room. It's just, I don't know. It's very weird.
Very interesting. I sort of wonder if I might have, like, because I've generally been quite comfortable in small groups. Not in large groups. Large groups I get a little weird just because there's too many dynamics at play. But I wonder how I'll be going back to, if I ever get the chance to go back to these kind of interactions with my mother. It was fine because she's my fucking mother. Of course it's going to be fine.
Right.
But I wonder if I've replaced that comfort with the online version.
Maybe.
Do you use tags like mental health? Like, do you use many tags sort of pertaining to this in your... No,
I don't use tags, period. People don't read them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Do tell.
I have used the no spoilers tag before, but people don't pay attention to them.
God damn.
So I don't bother.
Fucking stop spoiling me, guys. You know what? People aren't even spoiling me, but just stop spoiling streamers. It annoys me seeing it happen to other streamers.
It's not great.
Not cool.
So
it's not cool. So
but
no
like,
tags.
People don't read them, or at least not in my experience. So I don't bother because it's just like I've used the modded tag a lot as well, and people will come in and be like, "Which are you using mods?" And it's like, dude, it's right under the fucking title. Like, what are you talking about? So it's like, that's a dead giveaway that people do not fucking read tags, or like I said, at least in my experience. So.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if I read tags, actually, come to think of it, and I've never thought of that.
I don't really either. I'm guilty of the shit I'm complaining about. Like, I don't read them either, so.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I use the Ask Me Anything tag, though that's a lie, because there's some things I won't answer, but ask me most things, really. And no backseating. Lately, I've been using the no backseating tag. That's about. Oh, and casual playthrough I use, so I can point to that or indicate that when someone tries to like be like, why aren't you min-maxing or why aren't you doing things perfect? I'll be like,
enters try hard mode.
Yeah, exactly. What's your stance on backseat gaming?
Conflicting. I do not like it for the most part, but it can be helpful. Like I was playing a game, a Spiritfarer actually, and someone came in on a raid, and I was struggling with this one fucking mechanic, and I could not figure it out. And they were like, "Do you want some help? Like I know how to do it if you want some." But they asked first, and I was like, "God, yes, please help me. I'm drowning here. Like I don't know what to do." But I've also had people come in and be like, "Did you know about such and such weapon that you only get via, finishing the game without saving it?" And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No.
No, I didn't
Like,
know that,
what?
unfortunately.
No,
Yeah.
or like, did you get blah blah item yet? And it's like, dude, no.
Yeah.
If I don't have it, I don't care about it. Chances are. So
Yeah, that's always irritated me. Some people like it though. That's why I ask, because some
Yeah.
people have and I have noticed that tag, backseating allowed, where they kind of, I guess their thing is that they don't want to necessarily have to find things out for themselves. They just want to experience what the game has to offer. I don't know. It just annoys me, and it annoys me more when I see it in other people's streams. Like I can't. So I'm a big Dark Souls fan. I never shut the fuck up about Dark Souls. It's really annoying. I'm sorry, everyone.
Aww.
But I can't really watch any more Dark Souls. I used to love blind runs of the game. Love watching people blind run it.
Right.
Can't watch it anymore because most of the time there's like one backseater. It's being like, but if you go behind those stairs, there's the thing right there, the thing you need. It's like the whole joy of the game is in the exploration.
Right.
Anyway, I'm ranting and raving.
It's okay. It's like half the point.
What else do you hate about Twitch, Dreadsley? No.
Everything. I have a friend who streams who constantly gets backseated, and she's not really into confrontation, so she'll be really nice about it, and I'm just sitting there like, dude, tear them a new asshole. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just do it. Tell them to fuck off or something. Like,
well, it does test people's, like, you very much are, different personalities will, I think, encounter different issues, right? So someone
100%.
who's too, speaking with Cranberry Pudding the other day, and, you know, he is, as you well know, he will speak his mind. He's not a follower in terms of like social rules and social norms. He's a very kind-hearted person. He's a very intelligent person, but he will not follow dogmatic rules without questioning them first.
right.
That can get him into trouble because not everyone's expecting that. But then conversely, the other end of the spectrum, people can get themselves into trouble by being too much of a people player.
Mm-hmm.
I know on your end that you are probably not PG language on your channel.
Probably. That's modest.
Is this a reflection of
Absolutely
real
not.
life?
100%. It's not a show. I talk the exact same in person. So definitely not just for Twitch. It's not internet exclusive. It's always been a problem. Always. Like, I remember being in my pre-teens and swearing, and my mom was like, I wish you wouldn't do that. I'd be like, okay.
So it's not a family thing then. This is a specifically you thing.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. Like, my mom credits my sister and my brother for it, but they do not swear like I do. They never did. So I'm not really sure where it came from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is because you are? I don't think we've even discussed this. You are from. I'm not trying to dox you, by the way. Yes, I am.
Sure.
You are from BC, Canada, right?
Yes, I'm actually like an hour away from Cranberry and
I
Visit.
have heard. Yes.
Yeah. Pretty close.
Is this is foul, decrepit language? Is this a Canadian thing?
I mean, maybe.
Unholy language.
Unholy land. God, I live in a very religious town too, so that's fantastic. It's good wording. I mean, it could be like small town. Nothing else to do than fill the air with fucking shit, you know? Like, I don't know, honestly. I really don't know where I picked it up. It got a lot worse in my teens, so it probably had to do with the people I was hanging out with. But they're not in my life anymore, so
You still have
why
these
it's
things.
still a thing. Yeah.
I love
I
it.
don't
I there's something, I think there's different ways people can use the potty mouth. Like there's people who use the potty mouth for a certain, like in lieu of something, where they might use these words to try and seem more shocking or more edgy or more funny, even, dare say. And I don't really, you know, people can use language however they want, in my opinion. But that doesn't really appeal to me as much. Then there's just people that just like saying certain words because they're just fun to say. They sound good.
Yeah.
It sounds good to swear.
True.
Like, just the feeling of saying, fuck this. Like, that's good. That's
great.
good language. That's English.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fuck in particular has a little bit of power behind it too, so it feels extra good to say it. Especially in the right context. Like, if you're angry and you just scream fuck, it's amazing.
Yes.
It's so good.
One
or
syllable.
Just frustrated.
Oh, and you can extend that. Like, you really let it out sometimes.
Exactly. It's great. It's a great multi-purpose word. That's
glorious. Do you think it deters some viewers, or what does your community feel about it?
I don't think my current community really cares. It probably does deter some people, but my channel and me as a person have never been catering to minors or catering to, you know, squeaky clean people. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's not my bag.
Yeah, that's not your deal.
No, my Discord server has been around for like the better part of 2 years, I think, and it's always primarily been 20-somethings and 30-somethings. So I've always I've always attracted older people as well in general in my life. So it's kind of like I've never made it a point to be family friendly because that's not who I am. And I'm not gonna put on a show just to get a couple extra people and, you know, completely change how I behave just to get more viewers. That's not really what I stand for. So
that sounds sustainable. That sounds much more sustainable.
Yeah. I don't have patience for that. It's like, I just don't. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think I swear a lot too. But I think swearing is a big thing in Australia. I think we have that leftover poor English, that poor British kind of mouth, where I don't even notice it. Like I just don't even know. So, but I do notice it more when it's people with other accents. I'm like, ooh, it's a little bit adult language over here. Hey, you mentioned before that you are in the town that you're in is a little bit religious. This was something that I wanted to talk about, not specifically the religious part, but now I do want to talk about that actually. Oh
boy.
But the rural life, have you lived, like, what is it? Describe the town you live in, not in too great a detail. Again, not trying to dox.
It's, I think it's like somewhere around 5,000 people. It's pretty small.
That's rural. Yeah.
Yeah. Farming community. I live on the outskirts of town. Like, I think it's like 10 minutes driving time, if that. Not super far out. And very close-knit. I mean, it's just like a standard small town, I guess. It's not anything too crazy. So, we have decent internet. So that's
something.
You know, yeah.
That we don't have here. So has the city ever appealed to you? Have you had much experience with cities?
No.
Or
fuck no.
Okay.
Emphatic fuck no.
That was a straight up no.
Cities.
That was a bang bang, yeah.
Yeah, I have never liked cities. I remember going to Vancouver once when I was a kid and I hated it. It just, I don't know, like, not to talk shit about cities if people like them, but they're dirty. They're full of, like, well, I mean, they're not full
people.
They have a much higher crime rate.
Yeah,
they're full of people. I don't like people, so, you know, or I don't like being around people, at least. They're too busy. Like, I was gonna say I'm a slow person. That's not a good way to phrase that. Slow-paced person. So I'm not really into, like, the hustle and bustle of a big fucking city. It's just like, no.
What is it? Wow, I couldn't speak there for a minute.
Turning into me.
Good Lord.
I'm sorry.
What, what is it you
Bad
think
influence.
that draws people to cities? Because people, generally the pull is from rural towards cities, especially I think in people's 20s and 30s.
Right. Well, for here specifically, like a lot of people leave because there's nothing to do here work-wise. So you have to go to a bigger city because there are more opportunities for whatever the hell kind of job you want to do or schooling. And cities often have more like what the fuck's the word I want to use? They have more luxury kind of things. Like you will never ever see like a Bed Bath and Beyond in my town ever. It's way too small for that. But if you go like an hour away,
A Bed Bath and Beyond?
it's some kind of like fucking house store. I don't know. I've never actually been to one.
I got no idea. I'm just.
But,
oh, you mean? Do you mean like when you say it's like a homewares kind of?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like a big like houseware store.
That's your
or,
definition of luxury. Houseware store.
I mean, compared to what we have here, like
Yeah.
we have like a weird hybrid like dollar store home decor
Oh, yeah.
place, and that's about it. So
Fuck yeah, dollar
Yeah.
stores.
that's about as luxe as we get here.
Yeah, there's definitely the luxury, isn't there? I think also the idea of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Excitement. And the fast pace appeals to people. Do you know many people that have made the move?
I don't know. I mean, I know that most of the people I went to school with are no longer in this town. They've left. Some of them are still here, but the vast majority have either left for like the next town over or are completely out of the province now.
Yeah.
So, because it's just you cannot sustain a life here initially. Because what happens is that people have their upbringing here, they leave for a job or whatever, and then they come back years later and retire.
Right.
So
Right.
it's one of those. Yeah.
Place to retire. Well, I guess I'm kind of at retiring age then, because I'm like looking forward to small places. Gotta say,
Right.
I'm so sick of the city. The city always appealed to me as a child and a teenager and a young adult. I grew up in a lot of places, but in my most stable part of my upbringing was in a very small city or a very large town of like 25, 30,000, which was about 6 hours drive from the nearest real city, Perth, Western Australia. And, eventually when I was in my mid to late teens, we moved to Perth, Western Australia. And I was like, oh my God, I've made it. Like I felt like I felt like I was in, Tokyo or New York or London. Like this is the epicenter of the world. Perth, by the way, has 1.5 million people. It's the most isolated capital city on earth. So it's not that, but it felt that way.
Right.
And then over the preceding like 5 or 6 years, I went from getting really into that life in Perth, meeting lots of people, feeling like I sort of fit more in a city environment, to suddenly feeling like, oh God, I kind of feel like I know everyone here, and actually it's not that big, and there's this place called Melbourne that's actually kind of 3 times the size and seems way more exciting, and so then I did the Melbourne thing, and I've sort of gone through from the Melbourne thing, went through a 5-year phase where I eventually fell in and out of love with Melbourne, decided, well, I've got to go abroad now to a big Chinese city, and then so on and so forth. And I've kind of done this a lot. And now I've gotten to a phase where I think it was always the notion of there's lots of people around, and the more people there are around, the more chance that I will find my tribe, my gang, my people.
Right.
And it never really materialized that way. I've met some great people in all the places I've gone, and I've got I feel very fortunate for a lot of people I've gotten to meet, and hopefully will continue to meet. But it no longer seems to have any bearing on a city. A city just seems like your reaction to city when I said it to you, you're immediately like, fuck no. Like, that's kind of how I feel now, except I'm fucking in it. Like, I just think expenses, more rules, more noise, less space, probably worse internet, you know, like, and I just, I'm sort of, I guess I've come to a similar realization. What are the towns like in general? Like, you said that the town you're in is like a representation of small town. I don't know if you said specifically Canada, but is there? Because in Australia, it's my concern with towns is they're kind of bogan or they're kind of redneck. Is that how towns are there?
Kind of. It depends on the town, I guess. Like I said, mine's a farming town. Or like an agricultural town. So there is a lot of, to a degree, redneck culture. It's not Alberta. Alberta is like hella fucking into redneck culture.
Really? Wait, which one's Alberta? Is Alberta, shady. Is that in the center?
It's right next to BC.
Oh, okay.
Just out east a little bit.
I should know this, GeoGuessr pro that I am.
But it definitely changes depending on which province you're in. Like the central provinces are a little bit more into that kind of stuff. BC has places that are kind of into it. Like we have without trying to give away where I live, we have like a festival thing every summer that's kind of centered around agriculture and I think there's like a rodeo and that kind of hokey country shit.
Did you just intentionally say a brodeo?
No.
You said rodeo.
That works for me. Yeah.
I heard brodeo. I was like, oh, that's a good roast.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, so just general agricultural kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you believe that people are more open-minded in cities?
Yes and no. They can be, but at the same time, if you have more people, then you have more people with closed mindsets as well. Yeah. So it's kind of touch and go. It depends.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm grappling with that myself. I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I think that there's just a different... People are generally more left-wing in cities. And that could be better or worse. I'm not really going to like talk about where I place that value, but it does. One thing I've noticed is it's just another... Like, people in country towns all seem to be similar a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. Not everyone, of course, but, you know. But one thing I feel like is maybe people in cities are kind of similar, or a different kind of similar.
Yeah.
So no city for you. Is that what you're saying?
No. Fuck no. No way in hell. Oh my god.
Damn. Okay.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Like, is travel something you're interested in?
I mean, like, mildly. I've never been, like, super interested in it. I've only left BC, like, 3 times, I think. And it was to Alberta, and, not to talk shit about people from Alberta, but Alberta sucks, so...
Damn! Whoa!
Yeah, not a fan. Do not like Alberta.
I'd just like to reiterate that the views expressed by Dreadsley do not necessarily reflect the views by Porot. Copyright 2020.
Oh my god.
Get roasted, Alberta. Dang. I don't really think I'm using Discord properly. How active are you in your Discord for your channel and your community, and what kind of things do you do on your Discord?
I mean, honestly, my Discord is mostly dead except for the music and memes channels. I post in my music channel almost every day, because there's always some kind of earworm that's like, I need to post this somewhere. And I get tired of posting it on Facebook all the time. So, and I did do movie nights every Saturday. It changed for a while. But the demand for that kind of dropped off, so that's on hiatus for now. I was doing community game nights way back when I first started streaming every week,
Oh.
but that also dropped off.
What kind of games are you playing?
What did we do? We did Left 4 Dead 2 once. I think we did Killing Floor. Have I streamed Community Stardew? I think I did. And fuck, I can't remember what else. There was like a handful. I think. What else? We do singing in there all the time.
Oh, I have been present for See, I felt a little bad because like I couldn't at the time join in. Just because of restrictions, not because of Melbourne lockdown restrictions, because of household restrictions. As soon as I said that, I'm like, restrictions. It was the time of night here, but I got to say, it was wonderful. I heard you and Audax just...
He is dying to hear you fucking spit some bars in there. He mentions it all the time.
Oh, man.
Like, hey, Porto in there.
Dude, I fucking love that guy. I got to say, I don't know if you were there for it. He got a huge raid yesterday.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw it in the VOD. I was sleeping at the time, but
he got a gigantic raid, and then did 2 fucking music jams due to the channel point redemptions, and then had to do. I was like, wow, this is cool, and actually, I'm really enjoying. I'm vibing out to this music, and that's cool that it's he's playing a gig for a fucking 100 people right now, But then as soon as that was done, someone redeemed a 5-minute freestyle. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, the guy just got raided by 100 people. I would be fucking tilted if someone... I mean, I guess Audax did set that as his redemption. But 5 minutes is a long time to freestyle rap.
Yeah,
2 minutes is a long time for that shit. Way. And to his credit, he nailed it.
Yeah.
But he's also got both you and he have the voice of angels, and I was blessed to hear you guys singing that time.
Cranberry actually popped in there one time, and Audax wasn't there. He missed it. He was in there initially, but he pieced out right as Cranberry got started, and that was great. I don't think Cranberry gives himself enough credit either. But
what did he sing?
He sang a couple of oldies. I can't remember exactly what now. But they were fucking stellar. He has some pipes on him. He's great.
I bet. So, he's got that music background as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool.
Yeah, I guess I asked you about the Discord because I just feel like I've never been good on social media. I was never a good poster. Do you think it's important to try and keep engagement going in the general chat, or do you see that as your duty, or is that it's just a platform? How do you view the whole thing, I guess?
I guess I treat it relatively organically. I've gone through phases with it too, where I'm super into being engaged all the time, and then other phases where it's people can fend for themselves. It's a server with 80 people, and I don't have to be posting all the time.
Yeah, mine's about the same actually.
So, I mean, for the most part, it's just kind of a free for all. I'll handle things if people are misbehaving, and I've had to kick a couple of people because they were just absolutely bonkers, and off the wall and being disruptive and pieces of shit, basically.
Right.
So yeah, but for the most part, people are well behaved and stay in their lanes. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just got to get better at it. Sometimes I just feel a little bit. It's like when I was a teacher, actually, when there's if there's a class going and there's because what I did there had to be constant discussion because it was an English language class, so you must be using the language at all times to try and gain that. Practical application, right? Express yourself in the language as much as possible, and so it was my job to kind of make sure there was constantly an energy and a buzz coming not from me but from them between each other. And I sometimes feel like that in the disc. I don't view the Discord as the same thing, but sometimes when there's been a couple of days of nothing going on, I'd be like, so, what's everyone playing right now, guys? You know, and I wonder, I just feel like I might not be approaching it in the right way. I don't know. That's why I asked.
I mean, what's the right way?
I don't know.
That's the question. Like, what's the right way to handle a Discord server?
That's a fucking good question. Well, what is Discord? Like, what is its function? Is it, because I imagine is it people's primary thing? Like, there's so many different platforms people have to communicate with people online. And for me, I'm a minimalist. Mine is
right.
Discord and my friends I have on like a messenger on like Line or WhatsApp or something like that. But I guess I'm not fully sure. Is it your primary thing?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Because like I said, I used to use Skype a ton back when that was still okay. And then I think I got into Discord randomly. Like, I was playing some game with some people, and they were like, you should get Discord. That's what we're using to talk right now. Okay. Instead of, like, in-game chat. And I was like, okay. And that was it.
Right.
So, yeah.
I guess I'll learn in time the ways.
I mean, it takes time. Like, I've been using it for 2 or 3 years at least now, and it's still... things will pop up that are like, what the fuck? I didn't know that was a feature. Or like,
right.
Why is this not working? What the fuck? Hello?
Yeah. I don't, it's not so much that I don't, like, I've got a grip on sort of the basic functionality of it. It's not like I'm like, how do I send a message again? But it's more, it's more that I like made a conscious decision and there was a shift in me to not engage in social media about 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, fuck that shit. And then I did a backflip and decided that I'm going to become a streamer. And so like, it's more that I fundamentally don't understand what to express on it. But I guess that's something that just takes time. It's personal.
Yeah, it's complicated. Like, when I initially made my server, I didn't really post anything. It was just kind of like a place for people to go that I knew via Twitch. Who could all like hang out and shoot the shit together and whatever. And that's still mostly what it is. It's now kind of centered around my Twitch as opposed to just Twitch in general. Kind of. Most of the people in there have been there for like 2 years. So or maybe like half now, because it's grown quite a bit. But so I mean, I wouldn't say I'm doing anything right in particular. I'm just kind of observing and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, you're just playing it as it goes, playing it as it comes. Yeah. So something I spoke to you about recently, and it was actually, kind of inspired by a conversation we had off the air, I guess, was the idea of asking for an artist's permission to play their music on Twitch. Now, you've got a pretty strong stance on this.
Yes.
Do tell.
I mean, the basic version is don't use people's shit if you don't have permission to use it. And as a backstory to elaborate on that, back in February at some point, I don't remember the exact date, I had been thinking about it for a while, because I had seen so many fucking people on Twitch just use whatever the fuck they wanted to use. Yeah. And not make any effort to credit people or have like at the very least, like a little Spotify ticker in the bottom or something.
Right.
On their overlay. And I have dealt with art theft personally, and it fucking sucks. Like, not with music, but art theft in general. It's garbage. And so, you know, I went into the thought of streaming being like, I need to ask people. I need to contact bands. I need to get a list going of shit that I can listen to that I have permission to listen to. And via having permission, if it gets flagged, I can appeal it because I have emails. I have a paper trail. Right. So I started doing that in February and kept doing it up until, I think it was a month or two ago. And via doing that, I've secured about 20 bands. I've contacted well over 60 at this point. Um, so, and a lot of people like to assume that it's really hard to get in contact with bands. It's not. If you're going for top 40 shit, then absolutely you're gonna have to go through PR people, and good luck getting a response. But if you're going through Bandcamp, it's super easy. There's literally a button that says contact blah 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 band, and then there's like a contact form, and that's it. The first band I contacted, which set the tone for everything, was the band that I use in my intro and my outro, the Lycotones, from I think they're from Ontario. And the dude who was the only guy in the band at the time, he was like a solo project. Which blows my fucking mind because it sounds like a full band.
Oh wow, he's one of those savants that just does all the instruments themselves.
Yeah, he's fucking crazy. He has Prince 2 other dudes with him now, but at the time he didn't. And so I contacted him first, and I didn't realize it was one person at the time. But I was like, oh, you know, it'd be really, if rather, I'll backtrack. That was not a sentence. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be, you know, streaming on Twitch in like a month or whatever, and it'd be cool if, you know, like I had your permission to use your music, because a lot of people don't fucking bother, and that bugs the shit out of me. So like, here's me asking, basically, if you want on board, I'd be glad to include you, whatever, because I had listened to them before that, and I was like, man, I wonder if they'd be cool with that. And he replied, and he was fucking stoked. He was like, oh my god, absolutely, like, we'll pimp your shit out on Instagram whenever you stream, which I don't think actually happened, but the thought mattered. And,
yeah, it's a nice sentiment.
Yeah, and just like, oh, if you need anything, let me know, and blah blah blah. And so he was super excited, super jazzed that I wanted to use his music, and so that was the first band that set the tone for the entire thing. I was like, dude, that's why I'm doing this. Like, cool. Yeah, and I've had a lot of bands who didn't reply. I've had a lot of bigger bands who didn't reply because PR people. One of the bigger notable bands, at least in my circle of punky horror business, is Calabrese. I was so fucking stoked when I contacted Calabrese the first time, and that's the important chunk. First time. I contacted the wrong fucking email.
Oh.
They had a separate business email, and I used the other one, and I was like, it took me 2 weeks to realize that they had a different email for business stuff, and I was like, oh my fucking god. Now I have to send the exact same email to this other one and like note that I'm not trying to spam them. Right. And I think it was within a day I got a response, and this motherfucker, I love these guys so much, but the drummer, who I think is the person who takes care of most of their social media and shit, he said something along the lines of like, hey, I looked at your channel, and then there was a big fucking gap between the text, and he was like, oh, we'd be glad if you used our shit, and I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, you're really trying to fucking give me a heart attack via email.
Love that little moment of suspense.
Yeah, shout outs to Davey Calabrese, because that was great. I
That's
was so
cool.
stoked.
That's so
yeah,
cool.
I've loved Calabrese for years, so that was great.
That must be a great feeling as well, that someone that you have been into for so long is actually like, not only responds, but
tries to fucking bamboozle me.
Tries to bamboozle you and is like, fuck yeah, go for it. Like, that's
yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. And they, I wanted them too, not just because I like their music, but they're also a very like fan-oriented band. They're very like people-y.
Yeah.
I remember way the fuck back in the day. I don't remember how old I was. I think I was in my early 20s. I carved a Calabrese pumpkin for Halloween. And I think I tagged them in it on Facebook, and they reposted it. And then I think Davey followed me on Tumblr for a bit back when I still had one. So they're very into like taking care of their fans and making sure that their fans are included and shit. They're great. I love them.
Well, that's cool, and interestingly, that's kind of, I think, almost a Twitch-like way of working with. I mean, I don't like to view people in the community as fans, but working with people that sort of kind of support the thing you do, right?
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, it's a joint venture. It's not just me getting free music, because it's not free anyway. I pay for everything I use. But it's like they get, and I hate this fucking this line of thinking, but they get exposure through what I'm doing, and I get exposure through potentially them posting on Instagram or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not in it for the exposure, and I'm not just giving them exposure. Like, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Exposure is not enough. Like, pay your people, take care of your people, treat your musicians like people.
You know, artists are, of course, are undervalued. You know, those who don't crack into the top .X% are doing it tough, and they generally don't have the esteem of their peers until they're making money, which most of them never will make enough to get said esteem. And so naturally I have empathy with that position. There's a lot of like factors at play here though, right? Like there's a lot of different ways that people use music, like just let's say on Twitch, use an artist's music. There's like layers. There's I think the one which is you can probably universally condemn, but I'm not gonna lie, I've done it. I've stopped doing it, but I did do it at the start. And it was never top 40 shit for me, or even people on big labels, just in general, I'm that cool a guy that I don't listen to that shit. But like would just be play it fucking from YouTube. Play something from fucking YouTube. There it is on my streams. By the way, we're listening to so-and-so by so-and-so.
Right.
That one I think I can totally get the condemnation of, because not only are you not asking permission, you didn't even buy their fucking album.
Right.
You know? Then there's the next level where it's like, and I did this for a while also, and I've still, but now I'm questioning it, but I think it's a little bit more of a gray area. Smallish artists, I bought your album on Bandcamp, and then I just play off that, and I tell people this is so-and-so, I really like it. Still unsolicited use of the thing, but I think that's a little different. I don't know. I feel like that's a little different. Then there's like, then I start thinking of like radio stations, like maybe like community radio, community access radio. And that complicates it even further for me, because do they have to, I guess they have to ask for rights because people would submit their music to them, right?
Right. Yeah, I would assume they have some kind of licensing shit going on.
It's probably some kind of licensing shit. But then there's a thing like I used to also be involved in music. And obviously incredibly small time, otherwise you might have heard of it, which no one did because it was incredibly small time.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, I meant we're huge. But that was, if I put myself in that situation, and I'm like, if I imagine that someone was playing something that we did on Twitch, personally, I would just be happy that someone was listening. But then if I found out that they were making, I'm sorry, this is very long-winded. If I found out that they were making money off it, and that was an integral part of their product, then I would start to be like, hey, hang on, what?
Right.
So I have I don't want to say like a nuanced, I have like a bit of, there's areas of ambiguity for me. Do you think it's just a no straight up?
I mean, for the most part. I mean, but it's also not really something that can be policed properly. Like, I know that Twitch is rolling out fucking DMCA shit all over the place.
Yeah.
But that's not going to affect every single band that's out there that's being played without permission. There's no way.
Yeah.
because there are a lot of bands being played that are way too small to be picked up by that shit, and
For sure.
or like unsigned bands or whatever. I don't know. It is a gray area. It's really touchy. Like, I don't know.
I agree that artists getting fucked is bad though. Like I think that that's something that I'm sure we both 100% agree on. But yeah, I have subsequently thought, well, you know what? And that's something that I can't argue with that you've said. It's not that hard to ask. It's just not that hard to ask. And I was like, you know what? All right, fine. Ask. I've only asked one person, but I've been doing royalty-free shit lately because some of the royalty-free shit has gotten a little bit with the DMCA strikes. I think the royalty-free music has certain people have kind of capitalized on it. Quality has grown a little bit, but it's still so small compared to the wealth of music that you could be listening to.
Right.
What about video game music? Is that the same or different?
I don't know. I've gotten I mean I guess most people probably have. I've gotten video game music flagged in video games that I've streamed.
Really?
So like I played Lego Star Wars a few weeks ago. One of the songs in there got flagged and it was in the game.
Was it like a Star Wars property? I bet because it's Disney.
Yeah.
Okay, of course,
and various like songs in The Sims 3 have gotten flagged. And it's just that's kind of ridiculous to me, but
outrageous.
The companies who make the games do not own the rights to the music, which sounds fucking ridiculous, but it's true in most cases. Like, they pay somebody to write the music, and then they use it in the game, or they pay somebody to, commission the fucking shit or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, EA as a company does not own the rights to the music in their games.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's stupid, but it makes sense, so...
It does. I heard that about Tony Hawk's. I heard that people were having, because the recent remake or whatever of the Tony Hawk's games came out. And I think a lot of streamers were worried about that because of the soundtrack, because the soundtrack features original, it's got nothing to do with the game, right? It's just a bunch of like cool music that was included in it's almost like a mixtape in a way.
Right.
And that's kind of a bummer. Like,
yeah.
That's actually, I was actually thinking I kind of wanted to, I used to love the Tony Hawk's games and that'd be fun to stream, but I can't listen to the music, like just do it on mute. That sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's not a good time.
It gets very weird the more you think about it though, right? Like, so we're talking about music as being an intellectual property that you might be using without authorization on something that you might just be doing as a hobby, something you might just be doing to hang out with friends, a la hanging out at home or something like that with a group of friends, but that some people might be making a little bit of money on the side. Some people might be making a lot of money on the side. And for some people, it might be their whole life. But then it gets really weird when it's like, well, video games are kind of art too.
Yeah, it's touchy. It's really weird.
You see where I'm going? Like, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
it's complicated.
Do you think that video game companies or video game like Nintendo or Sony or maybe some developers will ever decide, no, you can't stream our shit?
Didn't Nintendo go through a thing with YouTube regarding that shit like a few years ago?
It rings a bell, actually. It rings a bell where they were just saying,
I think they
like,
had some kind of, I don't know if it was Super Mario Maker or what the fuck it was, but they went through some kind of thing where they like took down a bunch of videos because they didn't want people to upload them. I don't remember what the hell it was. I think it was that. Something like that.
There was a guy, I know they had, this is maybe slightly different, but they had their like official Nintendo approved kind of content creators. And there was some Aussie guy who is pretty big on YouTube. I can't remember his name right now. It's terrible of me, but he's like, makes pretty good stuff.
Right.
Does a bunch of Switch stuff. And, he's a Aussie living in America, interestingly enough. Don't know how he swung that. but apparently he recently got sort of not decommissioned or banned or anything, but he was a Nintendo approved guy, and then he suddenly became a non-Nintendo approved guy, and it seems like they have a very extremely stringent set of guidelines.
Right.
Do you see any differences though between, especially on a platform like Twitch, which is gaming based, between the music issue and the potential maybe not as big an issue with games themselves?
I mean, I can't really see a lot of game companies coming back and being like, don't stream our shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mm.
I can't. I mean, the whole thing about Twitch too is that it was, well, I mean, initially it wasn't designed for gaming, but Twitch in its rebrand was designed primarily to focus on gaming. So streaming a game on Twitch makes sense, whereas streaming music on Twitch that's not yours is kind of like, okay, well, that's not what it's for.
Yeah, pump the brakes.
So
Pump the brakes. Twitch wasn't initially designed for gaming?
No,
what the fuck?
Twitch was just in TV first, and it was like a live blogging kind of thing. Or vlogging, even. Not blogging.
What? So it was just on TV?
Yeah, Justin TV.
It was called Justin TV.
Yes.
And it was live vlogging.
Yeah, it was like IRL shit, but all of it was IRL shit. It wasn't video games or anything.
Oh, I see. Here I was thinking like the IRL shit was this new wave of Twitch.
No.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The gamers moved in and moved in on the turf.
Basically. Yeah, I don't know if I'm assuming the dude who owned it sold it, and then whoever bought it was like, let's make this a video game thing. I don't know exactly.
Damn,
but...
usurpers.
Mm-hmm.
Usurpers.
Yeah.
Do you think? Sorry, that just kind of blew my mind a little bit. I didn't fucking know that. Didn't fucking know that. And like, that's good because I'm probably like two content episodes away from being these damn IRL streams are taking over Twitch. I'm just kidding. But do you think that the difference? Well, I think it's just coming to me now that the difference between the video game thing and the music thing is that there is such an obvious connection between people streaming a video game and people really wanting to go out and buy that video game. Like, I feel like the marketing is so much stronger because it is the stream.
Right.
Do you think that's what it is? Is it just that the connection with music is not like strong enough to like it actually promoting the band?
I mean, yeah, I can agree with that. Because it's like if you hear a song on YouTube, for instance, like why would you go out and buy it?
Yep.
Because you can just listen to it on YouTube.
Yep.
Whereas you can't play a game via watching someone else play it.
Yes.
So it's different.
Yeah, and I was having this conversation with I think it was Trout actually, and talking about how now a lot of games integrate Twitch user interactivity into the game itself, or like Twitch extensions and shit like that, because they're sort of banking on Twitch success.
Yep.
How about, it sort of seems like I'm fighting against your thing about pay artists for music. I'm not. I'm just it's an interesting idea for me. How about this? Trying to find a solution. What about if I'm a big streamer, let's say I have average viewership of in the thousands, let's say.
Okay.
An average viewership of in the thousands. Pretty big, big time partner. My stream is just music and me talking about the music. People come there like basically just a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
Is it unethical for me to play stuff then without paying the artists or asking for their permission?
I mean, I'd say yeah, because A, that's against TOS, so you're actively doing something that you're not supposed to do and profiting off of it, because there's no way if you have those numbers you're not getting paid.
Yep.
Yep. And, you know, the idea of making money off of someone else's shit and capitalizing off of that is not right to me. So.
It's interesting. Looks like I'll be asking more permission then in the future. There's no fucking exit strategy for me. I tried to push it to its extreme, but alas.
Very, very steadfast in my opinions on that.
No, it's good. It's good to, you know, like, it's good to know why you stand for something and to stick by it, I think.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way to, you know, give people shit about it if they don't want to do that. Like, that's your own business. But you should.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Really agree. Though I sometimes break that rule.
Well, you're getting better about it. It's progress.
I try. Something we were talking about off camera, we alluded to, was the connection between social media, streaming, I guess, dare I say, the content creation industry, business, hobby, whatever you want to call it, and relationships. Is there a tension between these things? And they cohabitate? What is do they work together? Do they work against each other? What's going on here?
So I had an ex who our relationship was fucking awful. This was a number of years ago. And at one point during that, and this is ironic as fuck now too. And he was like, oh, I think I want to get into, you know, streaming on Twitch or something, because he had made like weird PUBG compilation videos for YouTube, and he was like, I think I want to try streaming. And I remember saying at the time, I don't really want to date a Twitch streamer. Like, I don't
Who would want to do that? Am I right?
You know. Well, I mean, there was a lot of neglect going on, and I figured, like, if you're gonna stream on Twitch, like, I'm never gonna fucking see you again, basically.
Yes.
And fast forward to now. How many years ago was that? Like 6? And the last 3 of my partners I have met through Twitch. They have been streamers, including my current partner, who you may or may not be familiar with.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that leads to a lot of questions. So, first question of all, what's it like dating a streamer?
It's got a lot of benefits. Having the ability to just like go to somebody you're a partner with and talk to them about like various stream related neuroses and minor things like, hey, I got raided today, blah, blah, blah. Or like, you know, what should I do for my schedule next week? Or like trying to plan around your schedule and trying to find like days off together can be cool. It can also be a shit show. Like if someone's really adamant on doing things X way and other person is adamant on doing things Y way, that can be kind of a clash situation. You need to be able to balance it well, because if you don't, you're fucked, basically. Like if you can't find some kind of balance between streaming and your relationship, you have to forego one or the other. You can't really do both without a balance.
So having dated a couple of Twitch streamers, is there something that connects them? Is that can you see common personality traits, common, like, is there a linking force, or are they all very different, would you say?
They're pretty different, especially my last 2. They're like polar opposites. But I guess the one linking thing for all of them beyond like, hey, they're into video games and so am I, is like they're very passion driven people. Yeah. And passion is like a huge thing for me, as with most people, I would imagine. It's a huge thing in terms of like being attracted to, not just in a romantic context, but in general.
Yeah, you mean being passionate about
for something,
things, right? Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
I mean, like, having a passion for something is kind of rare, or it seems to be, at least a passion that's like that. So, you know.
Okay.
When you see it, shit.
Would you say that they are always creative? Is it only creative people that do this?
No.
No.
I have one of the three exes was not really as creative, or I guess he was creative in different ways. Like he would be more creative in trying to figure out like what to do for 24-hour streams or something like that.
Okay, like yeah, sort of how to fill time and
yeah. Whereas the other two, one of them is extremely musically creative, and the other one is more kind of like, he's not super artsy, but kind of.
Okay.
So yeah, they're all creative in different ways. So to a degree, yeah, one of them isn't as maybe creative as the other ones, but they still got something there.
It's an interesting insight though, right? Like being that, because I feel like if you're dating someone, you get a different side to them. You get perhaps a more intimate side to them. You get to see, hopefully, what drives them a little bit. And do you feel like it's given you a better insight of what draws people to do something like this kind of new medium, this new media, this new form of expression? Is there a common link in that?
I mean, I guess more than anything, it's kind of been an eye-opener as to all of the different reasons people get into it.
Yeah.
One of them kind of got into it because well, I mean, actually two of them have health issues that kind of prevent them from doing like normal work. So that was a major draw for them, like eventually getting payouts and whatever. Plus they fucking love video games and they're relatively social, more social than I am anyway. So, and then, you know, other people have just been in it solely for the passion element and not really giving too much of a shit about finances and whatnot. So, but in terms of a common link, I don't know. I don't know that there really is one between the three of them, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's something I've kind of been... that's kind of been one of the driving forces of this content experiment that I'm doing. Or maybe it's not an experiment, just this project. And is for, like, I constantly question like, oh, what is it that draws me to do something like this? What is it that draws other people to do? Like, what is this thing? I kind of have an inquisitive mindset about it, even though I personally am drawn to it also. And I guess in my mind, between meeting these different streamers like you and getting to interact with these interesting people, I do try and draw these threads. And but I haven't necessarily, like, people have been very different, there've been some links in terms of just a general ability to communicate ideas, and just social skills. But yeah, like, I've started to think lately, maybe there isn't one bonding factor that connects everybody to it. I don't know. So, dating Twitch streamers. I don't know. It doesn't, like, I don't, it's like you hear this about comedians. Comedians always say never date a comedian. Overrated, underrated?
Both.
Okay.
Some of them have been overrated. Some of them have been underrated. Very. So it just depends on the person. And like I said, it depends on how well you can balance things too. Because if you can't balance things, it's a wash. Like it matters even more so in that kind of context. So. Is it difficult to sort of, like, has it ever become competitive? Not really. I mean, there was a point with an ex of mine where he kind of got down on himself. Mouth. He got kind of down on himself because, like, I was obtaining more growth than he was. And he'd been at it for way longer than I had been. So I felt kind of bad about that. Instead of kind of enjoying my own success, I got caught up in it and I was like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want this, take it. Cursed empathy. I've always been
I found myself attracted to creatives. And
Mhm.
that's a big term, obviously.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I don't know what percentage of the population it makes up, more than one. You know, somewhere between one and, I don't know, a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I've started to, you know, I just because as I've grown older and hopefully wiser, probably just more embittered and jaded, I've started to, you know, question, well, you know, what are other people like? What are other people like? And I've, in this discussion with this person about this, the person said, oh yeah, no, I never date creatives. Like, even though this person is also a creative. Or yeah, no, I think they would consider themselves a creative. Like, oh no, I never date creatives. Why would I need to do that? I'm already that. Is there
Right.
like, do you find a certain, like, is the camaraderie, does that come with a negative side of like, oh my God, I've got these issues too. I don't need another person with these issues. You know what I'm saying?
I had actually discussed that with multiple exes. I mean, just in general, honestly. Not from a creative standpoint, but from a mental health standpoint. Like, oh, you know, it's really cool that you also have depression because you understand what I'm talking about and I don't have to explain it.
Right.
But then on the flip side, being with people who don't have it, it's like, oh, this is nice too because, like, you know, now I don't have to try to focus on your shit as well as mine and process both. But at the end of the day, in a contest, being with someone with the same hang up, whatever the fuck it is, whether it's depression or being a creative or whatever, is much better in my experience.
Okay.
Because it avoids a lot of tension and just stupid bullshit that shouldn't be a thing.
Well, you definitely don't have to explain the thing it is you do to them. Like, you definitely don't have to go through that. Kind of a Twitch streamer. You know do you know what Twitch is?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you bypass that. Do you share ideas?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
You ever steal ideas, or do they steal your ideas? That's why I would date a Twitch streamer. I'd just steal all their ideas.
Have I stolen ideas?
Borrowed ideas, perhaps.
I'm trying to think. Probably. I'm not gonna fucking front about it. I probably have. I'm trying to think of specific ones though. I probably stole like channel point ideas from an ex of mine. So it's like, oh, that sounds cool. Plus, those aren't important anyway.
Well, they're important. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, in terms of ideas worth stealing, they're not that.
Yeah, I don't think someone's gonna be like, God damn it, they stole my hydrate.
No. No.
That was mine. I invented hydrate.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't remember anything. But yeah, like spitballing ideas off of each other it can be fun.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm planning on doing a such and such stream on Saturday. What should I do? And how can I make it entertaining? And you know, what should I do for channel points and all that shit?
Is there? Because I haven't really thought about this much. I haven't really thought about dating a Twitch streamer. Is there pressure to show up?
There can be.
I mean, presumably you want to a lot of the time anyway because you like the person. But is there an unspoken pressure anyway?
It depends. Again, it depends on the person. It's like my go-to answer for all this shit, unfortunately.
No, that's how
like
life is.
some people kind of not make a big deal out of it, but like they put more emphasis on it if you're not there. Like getting fucking melodramatic text messages being like, where were you? What the fuck?
Oh, damn.
And other people being like, you slept for 10 hours? That's totally fine. I'll see you with the next one. It just depends, you know? So,
Man,
yeah, it just varies.
dating a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
Interesting. I can see the pros. I can see them. It'd be like, I think the venting pros would be huge. Like oh my fucking God, did you know, and you would never have to worry about like, oh, should I say this to this person? Because if you've got that kind of bond, that kind of intimacy, then you know that's kind of between you guys.
Yeah.
That's basically my you know, that's why I bang cranberry pudding, so we can just share, so we can have each other's secrets.
It's funny too because a lot of the time, which is just a natural thing, my partner and I, or exes, whatever, whoever I'm dating at the time, will end up with a bunch of community overlap, and sometimes
that's messy.
It'll, yeah, oh yeah, tell me about it. Dealt with that shit not too long ago, and but sometimes it's funny though because it's like you'll be like, hey, such and such person's kind of annoying, and they'll be like, fuck yeah, they are. It's good for venting, like,
yeah.
not to, you know, not to be a piece of shit about it, but
have you, like, is it the same as I imagine it is. This might be a dumb question, but I've never experienced it in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same as that classic kind of there's like that Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm joke where he breaks up with his splits up with his wife, and then there's the thing where all the mutual friends have to like choose who they're going with.
100%.
I'm sorry, Larry, we're going with Cheryl.
It doesn't have to be like that, but in both cases that it's happened so far, it has been, which is insane to me. Like, I've dated people significantly older than me for most of my life, and it just boggles my mind that that kind of community exists in like a more mature audience, because that's so fucking high school.
It is high school. I do think though that it can get I think it's sort of like a convenience thing. Like, it does fuck people, but like, I've had a situation where I've been involved in a breakup, and there has been a mutual friend, and because there was only one mutual friend, and it's a real mutual friend, like not just like, oh yeah, your boyfriend was kind of okay, or yeah, your girlfriend was kind of okay, I didn't mind them. It was like, even in the time, we would both see this person individually or together. Like, it was a real friendship. Because there's only one, this person is able to, doesn't have to choose, because there's never going to be that situation. It's not a situation of like a mutual gang of 10 in which it's like, oh, and who do we fucking invite to the thing? We don't want to have a shit time at my birthday, but da 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 da.
Right.
Like that. I guess that's why I push back a little bit against it being high school, but it does kind of feel high school. I don't know. Do you think like it's? I mean, do you think it's always possible to deal with those things?
I mean, it's always possible. Whether you deal with it well or not is up for debate. I had a couple of people message me recently being like, is it okay if I still hang out at such and such's thing? And I was like, dude, I don't care. Do what you want. I'm not that fucking petty. Like, I don't hate my ex.
Yeah.
Like, you can do what you want. I'm not going to go over there and give you shit for it. I don't care. Like, do what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a divorce. I'm not fighting for fucking custody, you know? Like,
so interesting though, isn't it? You know, like, people do, when marriage is split, they divide things up. You know, they divide all of the house and the things, and friends are almost like a commodity then. Oddly enough,
it's ridiculous,
it's
right?
crazy,
Like,
isn't
oh my
it?
fuck, yeah.
Pets, who keeps the dog? Who keeps the dog? Jesus, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't mean to sound so negative though. It's what's the best thing about dating a streamer? The best thing.
Oh fuck.
Put you on the spot.
I mean, honestly, probably the understanding.
Yeah.
Just like not having to explain shit, and not having them be fucking weirded out, or like, oh my god, shut the fuck up about streaming, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, you'll probably hit those points at some point. Just like, dude, you've talked about this thing like 50 times.
Dude,
can you please stop?
That's something I worry about with my interactions with people who aren't as invested in it.
Right.
For me, it's an all-consuming type of thing, and I'm like this with passions. I was like this with writing for 10 years. Do you feel the same way? Is it can you get it? Like, how are you obsessive about it like I am?
I think I go through phases with it. Where it's like, yes, this is all I want to talk about. This is me. And other phases where it's like, I'd rather just fucking watch Netflix for like 5 hours and not really think about it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So,
it's probably healthier to be.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Time will tell. Who will enter the asylum first, I wonder.
Yeah. Race you there.
Dreadsley, this has been great. I've said that I keep these to 2 hours. That was 47 minutes ago.
I told you.
I'll edit out all of my pee breaks, and then you'll get a couple of minutes off that. What's coming up in the future for you? Let us know.
Hopefully streaming within the next week or two, once my stupid sleep schedule gets normalized. A certain somebody gifted me Hades recently, so I'm probably going to stream that.
Ooh, beautiful game.
Yeah. Or Planescape Torment. I'm not entirely sure yet.
I've wanted to play that game for so long. Oh my god.
That's a childhood game for me.
Oh, it is?
Childhood, like 13. Yeah.
I've heard, like, that's, you know, I really loved Baldur's Gate as a kid. The kind of isometric D&D type things. I heard Planescape Torment is like the really intricately story-based, character-based version of that.
I'd say that, yeah. Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, beyond that, not really much. So.
That's totally fine. I mean, you know, the same on my end. More streaming, more gaming, fun
more
stuff.
Existing, you know.
Fun times. Living on and on unto infinity. Yep. This has been great, Dreadsley. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
My pleasure.
And, you know, hopefully we get to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good night. Bye-bye. And thank you for watching.